Josh Johnson here on Thursday, March 12th, 2026. The anniversary of the beginning of the blizzard of 93, by the way, which wound up on Friday, March 12th, 1993. 33 years ago. That storm ignited my interest in weather. We would not be having this conversation today if not for that storm. So, pretty cool stuff there. All right, no blizzards to talk about today. We did have a pretty bumpy night, though. Here are the storm reports from the Storm Prediction Center. And you'll notice lots of wind reports across South Mississippi, South and Southeast Alabama especially. That line really blew up. Once it made it east of about Highway 231, that thing kind of went crazy with a lot of wind and reports along the Georgia border counties and then over into Georgia. May or may not have had a brief tornado or two in that mix. We'll let the Weather Service sort that out. Now, the other piece of the puzzle here was heavy rainfall. Here's the latest map from the Weather Service in Birmingham showing 1 to 2 inches of rain north of the line from about, we'll say Monroeville to Montgomery to Dadeville, and then some isolated 1-inch amounts in southeast Alabama. But an important note about this map, when you look at this, you've got to understand, this cuts off at 7 o'clock in the morning. Still more rain fell, especially in southeast Alabama, after 7 a.m. So you see some of these 3/4 of an inch, 2/3 of an inch, half-inch amounts down into the wiregrass. They actually had more rain than that. It happened after the cutoff for this specific map. We'll get a new map for the next date tomorrow. When you add the two together, you'll end up with a really healthy 1 to 3 inches of rain across all of the southern 2/3 of the state, which is great news because of what you see on this map. This is the drought monitor. And you'll notice there, we'll take it full screen so you can see it. You've got, this is updated as of this morning, but understand this map was drawn based on data that ended on Tuesday morning. So the data cutoff for this was early Tuesday. None of the rain that we had since that helped this at all. So when we see the map next week, it will account for that rain, and I suspect we will see some pretty nice improvements, right? It's not as bad as it seems on this map. I think that things are actually a little bit better in terms of the drought. That's good news. We need the rain for sure. Okay, happening here and now, we have a wind advisory that's in effect. Check it out. It includes all of the Birmingham National Weather Service, CWA. That's basically Marengo, Dallas, Lowndes, Montgomery, Pike, and Barber, and points north. It will be breezy south of there. The Weather Service and those offices just didn't issue a wind advisory. No big deal. It's windy statewide today. It's a breezy and cool day. Temperatures are in the upper 50s and low 60s. Surface low bombs off the East Coast. That'll mean rain changing to very wet snow across parts of eastern Virginia, parts of Maryland up through New Jersey. You can follow those folks for better intel than I have on that. Then we moderate a little into the first part of the weekend. Here is Friday. Big surface low over the Great Lakes. Zonal flow for us. That means west to east wind. That means not hot, not cold, kind of in the middle. 70s in the afternoon, 40s and 50s at night. This is Saturday. We're dry. It's comfortable. Highs should head for the 70s. But look what happens here. We get this big explosive low that forms in western Kansas. Snowstorm across the northern plains. This will wrap up Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. This could be some really heavy snow, wind-driven snow, blizzard-like conditions, parts of South Dakota, southern Minnesota, North Dakota, Wyoming, the mountains of Colorado, etc. Then this thing really bombs out, and what a system we have on our hands. So by Sunday, for us, it gets very windy. It's a warm wind at first on Sunday, wind ramping in out of the south, cold air spilling into Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, and eventually we see some storms pop along this front. So what will happen for us Sunday night into Monday morning, you will get this very narrow but extremely windy line of thunderstorms that'll push across the state. And that, I think there is a risk for some power outages and some sporadic tree damage because of the wind associated with the system. That may have very little to do with the actual storms themselves. It's just the front itself is going to be an exceptionally windy one. You've got this very deep surface low here. See how all these solid lines are packed together? Those are called isobars. That creates what's called the pressure gradient force, which means a ton of wind in this. So when we look at the forecast sounding for very early Monday morning in East Alabama, you can sort of make out you've got 30, 35 knot, 45 knot winds just above the surface. Temperatures are very borderline for any severe weather. You actually have some wind shear in this. You do not have a lot of unstable air, though, with temperatures in the 60s, dew points in the low to mid 60s. That's not really an air mass that just screams severe weather, but it bears watching anyway. You've got 461 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE. Your mixed layer CAPE's 832. So this is one of those, in my opinion, one of those wind setups for Sunday night into Monday morning. So, and then frankly, the bigger story in that whole thing is going to be the shot of cold air that follows it. This is going to be brutal. Monday will be a day where the high temperature happens at midnight and the temperature drops most of the day. And then Monday night into Tuesday, it's just raw, windy, and cold. The wind dies down eventually on Tuesday, but it stays cold. Clipper system brings some snow as far south as parts of Kentucky. Not a big deal there. Storm goes up the east coast, but it doesn't really phase up, so you don't end up with any kind of blizzard. And then we end up in this pattern to close out March with a trough in the east and a ridge in the west. That would argue for shots of cooler air and occasional shots of cooler air for another week or two. And then we would probably see a fairly significant warm up to end March and get us into early April. So, what about the storm threat? Well, the Storm Prediction Center has done kind of a weird thing here. They've drawn a 15% for Sunday into Monday morning northwest of us along that front. That's the day 4 outlook. Then the day 5, it skips over us and is over here. I think there would probably be a little more continuity in that storm risk. So I would advise you, I would tell you that I think it's going to be extremely windy Sunday, Sunday night, and Monday. And there will be this skinny line of thunderstorms that are probably not tornado producers. They're not hail producers, but they're going to be prolific wind producers. And I think some of that wind could be enough to be impactful. Again, Sunday night into Monday morning primarily. So just be aware that that's how this probably plays out with the. I think the Storm Prediction Center will eventually sort of wrap their head around that and have a little different outlook. So we'll see. Then the temperature drops like a rock. Check this out. Wow. Watch this with me here. So this is crazy. This is valid at 6 o'clock Sunday or 7 o'clock Sunday night. It's 73 degrees. 1 in the morning, it's 68. 7 in the morning, it's 54 at Montgomery. At 1 in the afternoon, it's 45. Again, this is Monday, March 16th. It is going to turn stupid cold. The cold will be disrespectful around the state on Monday. It's windy, it's raw, it's cold. And then look at some of these overnight lows. Frost is a very good bet all the way down into to central Alabama and south Alabama. And I think we will go below freezing north of Montgomery Tuesday morning. I mean, just wow. What happened? We were doing so good. Then Tuesday's a raw day. Afternoon highs will do well to get up into the 50s. Then Wednesday morning, we're back close to freezing again, mainly north of Montgomery. And we got frost all the way down to the Florida state line. So Gary's plant or can't forecast, named for the late great Gary Musgrove, is a resounding can't. You do not need to plant anything right now or this weekend because there is a almost certain threat of frost Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. Tuesday morning, the wind may help us. Wind and frost are enemies; they don't play nice together. But into Wednesday morning, the wind dies down and we're at or below freezing. So look, frost is almost a slam dunk across the state. Here's the raw data. This is the GFS ensemble. Again, that's kind of the choir approach. And it's got 31 Tuesday morning and 37 Wednesday morning. And ensembles tend to smooth out extreme events, which a low of 31 March 16th and 17th, that is an extreme event. So there's some chance it actually goes lower than some of the numbers that you see on this graphic. Here's the European operational run. and it goes to 34 Tuesday morning, 36 Wednesday morning. That's in line with our forecast, but again, I think there's room to go lower with this, and I would caution you, like Monday, the high is 52. That probably happens in the morning though, and in the afternoon it's 45 with a 20-mile-an-hour wind, which is going to make it feel more like 35. So just plan on a big, ugly shot of cold air Monday and Tuesday of next week. Before that gets here, though, we have to deal with some pretty active, an active wind situation Sunday night into Monday. Potential exists for some sporadic power outages and some spotty wind damage. I don't think that's a big tornado setup, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, everyone. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me on this Thursday afternoon. I'll have a full update on WSFA 12 News tonight at 5, 6, and 10. You can, of course, subscribe on YouTube. That's big. Just go to Josh Johnson Weather on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. That makes sure you get my updates. We streamed live on YouTube last night for 5 hours tracking those storms. So if you were sitting in the dark wondering why you couldn't get a weather update, subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll start seeing more of those. And like the Facebook page as well. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Thursday. Take care, and I'll see you next